On the 62nd episode of the HatTrick Sports Podcast, we're going to be talking about the week 1 of college football, the passing of Johnny Gaudreau, some NFL news and MLB stories. We're going to be ranking the top 5 NFL teams with the most penalties since 2010, Steph Curry's record-breaking contracts, and we're going to be ending it off with some Hall of Fame. Yay or nay? Roll it. Welcome to HatTrick Sports, starring your host, Isaiah Carpenter. Bringing you the biggest sports headlines every week. This is the HatTrick Sports Podcast. All right, for the first part of this podcast, we're going to be talking about the NCAA Week 1 scores. So we did this last year. We're going to just continue kind of where we left off last year. We're basically going to go through the scores. We're going to do this with football in a couple weeks too, and we're just going to talk about the scores, what we saw in the games, and everything like that. So I think this is all just going to be like, we're not going to go through all the games, but mainly just the top 25 team. So you got Kansas beating Lindenwood. Kansas won 48-3. Like I said, there were a lot of blowouts this week. Some close games. NC State against WCU. NC State won 38-21. What other? Missouri beat Murray State 51-0, just a straight blowout. Utah beating Southern Utah 49-0. Oklahoma. So this was a big one. Oklahoma beating Temple 51-3. That was the first top 25 on this list. Georgia and Clemson. So we do this lock of the day. We choose one team every day that I think win. Georgia. I had Georgia winning, and I think the line was like 2 touchdowns or 13.5. Georgia ended up winning 34-3. Penn State beating West Virginia 34-12. Iowa against Illinois State 40-0. 1 second. Watch this Dodger game. Yeah, we are filming this while we're watching the Dodger game right here, so I'm going to probably be looking back quite often. Like I said, Iowa beating Illinois State 40-zip. Tennessee 69-3. Oklahoma State 44-20. That was actually a closer game than I thought. Again, it was 24 points, but it was so closer than I thought. Texas versus Colorado State. Texas absolutely destroyed 52-0. Ohio State versus Akron 52-6. This is a big one. So if you guys aren't from Florida, you guys probably don't know these big rivalries. But basically, Florida State, Florida, and Miami, the U, those are huge rivals in Florida. You got to be cheering for one of those 3 teams, and they're just huge rivals here in Florida. So when Miami absolutely destroyed Florida 41-17, everybody kind of went nuts here in Florida. That's just a huge rivalry. That's like a 3-way rivalry here in Florida. So Miami winning that by that much was huge. Kansas State versus Utah, Martin. Kansas State won 41-6. Alabama won 63-0. Ole Miss 76-0. That was... I'll talk about this later, but they want to run up the score. Notre Dame beating Texas A&M 23-13. That was actually a pretty good game compared to everything else that happened this week. Michigan against Fresno State 30-10. Oregon won 24-14. Arizona, New Mexico. Arizona won 61-39. And then tonight, there's the LSU-USC game, and then tomorrow, Florida State plays their second game against Boston College. There we go. This is what I want to talk about. In baseball, you don't usually run up the score too much, especially after a certain inning. In NFL, you don't really run up the score. In basketball, you don't run up the score. College football, you will run up the score as high as possible. This Ole Miss, Furman State, Ole Miss won 76-0. They did not care if they ran up the score. And that's what I kind of like. I kind of like it when teams run up the score. I know it's like disrespectful and sportsmanlike, but I do like seeing better offenses. I mean, the whole reason why people watch is for the excitement of offenses, right? So I do kind of like it when teams run up the score, and that's what I do like about college football. And I think that's it for college football. Georgia, I wanted to talk about that. The Alabama game. Did I talk about Alabama? Where's Alabama here? Did I talk about Alabama? I don't think I talked about Bam. Oh, yeah, I did. 63-0. That was Alabama's just like going downfield every 5 minutes, not even every 5 minutes. It felt like every 2 minutes or so. But that's it on NCAA. We'll be doing that every week, basically going through the scores. If there's any news stories on it, we'll be talking about that. But that is a new segment for you guys that I know we've gained quite a bit of following since last football season, college football season. And then we'll do the same thing with NFL season that starts on Thursday. Can't wait for that. NFL starting Thursday, where I will basically be doing my picks. I'll be doing pick'ems. Last year we did it. It was me, Mike, a former co-host, and then we had a guest on. We did it. Flashback to that punishment. That was great. But yeah, that is what happened in college football this week. All right. These Dodgers, man. Watching the Dodgers game right here. I know you guys can't see it on camera, but watching the Dodgers and top second 0-0 against the Diamondbacks. Dodgers have been doing great. Let's talk about something that really kind of makes me mad in the world. Not even just sports world, in the world in general. Johnny Gaudreau and his brother Matthew's life unfortunately got cut short due to a drunk driver. I can't put that. I don't know if TikTok's going to take this down. I don't know. It's unfortunate. It's very, very unfortunate to see. Let me see if I can pull this up. But basically, Johnny and Matthew, they're brothers. They both play hockey. Johnny's the one that plays in the NHL, or used to play in the NHL, but basically it's obviously the off season. Their sister was supposed to get married Saturday. I don't know if they rescheduled, but they did not get married Saturday due to an absolute idiot. I'll say that's him. I'm not going to use words on here that I shouldn't, but this guy really makes me mad. They're biking. Obviously, they're athletes. They're trying to stay in shape. It's the night before their sister's wedding. Their groomsmen at this wedding, and a drunk driver decides that it would be cool for him to drive home drunk, and it risks these two people's lives. It ends their lives, ruins hundreds more, and it affects thousands on thousands of other people's lives all over the hockey community, all over just everywhere, and there's no reason for that. So this drunk driver hits and kills Gaudreau, the Gaudreau brothers, and it's just they were pronounced dead at the scene. This driver knew that he was drunk. He admitted to cops that he had 5 or 6 beers and that he was going a little fast and wasn't paying too much attention because he just wanted to get home fast so he wouldn't get caught drinking and driving. He was being so selfish, and then he ends up killing these two brothers. And I understand this happens every day and that this is just making big headlines because it's this big hockey star, but it doesn't matter if it's this hockey player or the average person. Don't drive drunk. It's not that hard. If you can afford so much alcohol and liquor and beer and all that, you can afford a $20 Uber. I promise you, it's not that hard. There's so many different ways of transportation other than driving drunk. It just makes me so mad. The poor sister has to get married now, knowing that her groomsmen and her brother are dead, and that if she picked a different date, this may not have happened. It affects her life, and then it's just take an Uber, take a taxi, walk if you have to. You do not have to drive drunk. And you left the Gaudreau brothers. Johnny Gaudreau had 2 kids. Those kids will never be able to say goodnight to their dad again. And then Matthew, the brother, he's not really well known, but he had a kid on the way 4 months from the due date. This kid will never be able to meet his dad because this drunk driver decided to just risk it and go home instead of buying a $20 Uber. I promise you, it's not that hard. Just get an Uber, especially if you know that you're doing something wrong. And then this video's going around of him on a virtual court, and he's mad because he doesn't get out of jail. He doesn't really get bond until Thursday, and he's mad about that. This guy has so much more problems to worry about than staying in jail till Thursday. What they're charging him with now is there's a maximum of 10 years, and I think it's state prison or something like that. I think he's going to end up getting more charges are going to come through. I think the state's going to end up pressing more charges and that. But I promise you, if you have that much money to buy beer and all sorts of liquor and alcohol and stuff, you can buy a $20 Uber. I promise you, it's not that hard. Don't risk these guys' lives. These innocent people who are trying to make the world better. I just hate seeing innocent people die from these bad alcoholics. So just order an Uber. If you learn anything from that big rant, just order an Uber. I promise you, it's not that hard. I promise you, it's not that hard. These kids, their kids will never be able to say goodnight to their dad again. One of them will never even get to meet his dad. So I'm sorry for the loss of the Goodrow family. Man, it makes me mad. So I'm gonna read an article from ESPN, basically from Meredith Goodrow, who's the wife of Johnny. She basically said, "Thank you for the best years of my life. Despite losing you, I'm still the luckiest girl in the world to have been yours. I love you so much. We were perfect. Some days it felt good to be true. Too good to be true. I love every single thing about you. You are my forever, and I can't wait to be with you again. I love you so much and forever." That is what this drunk driver made a wife say publicly. Again, I'm going to read this from ESPN. Johnny Goodrow and his brother Matthew were killed Thursday night in New Jersey when they were struck by an alleged drunken driver while riding bicycles not far from their family home. The Goodrow family had gathered in this county to attend the wedding for the guy's sister, Katie, which had been scheduled for Friday. The event was canceled. I don't know when they're going to reschedule it. I feel so bad for the entire Goodrow family and everybody that was affected from it. It says Meredith and Johnny Goodrow married in 2021. Noah was born the following September, and Johnny on February 22nd. Just because this guy wouldn't get an Uber. He was so cheap he couldn't get a $20 Uber. He knew what he did wrong. He admitted to the cops that he knew what he did wrong, that he was drunk, just to kill these two innocent people and affect hundreds of people's lives and thousands of more. It makes me so mad. I cannot express that enough into how mad this guy makes me. And again, right now the charges are he gets a maximum of 10 years in prison. I think that's going to end up being more with more charges that come along with it. We'll see. I'm not a judge. I'm not a jury. It just makes me mad. I'm going to read this other article. It says the Blue Jackets winger Johnny Goodrow and his brother Matthew were killed Thursday when they were struck by a vehicle while riding bikes. New Jersey State Police said and released Friday. Johnny Goodrow was 31, Matthew was 29. According to the police, a driver of the Jeep Grand Cherokee hit two cyclists identified as the Goodrows from behind while trying to pass an SUV on the right that had moved over to make way for the two cyclists. Police who responded to the scene in this town at 8:19 p.m. said both Goodrows suffered fatal injuries and were pronounced dead at the scene some 35 miles south of Philadelphia. The driver, Sean Higgins, who is not a good person at all. Again, I'm not going to say the words that I want to, but he is suspected of being under the influence of alcohol and has been charged with 2 counts of death by auto, along with reckless driving, possession of an open container, and consuming alcohol in a motor vehicle. So he's drinking in the car too. According to the Higgins told police that he had 5 or 6 beers before the crash and had tried to go around the SUV on the right side after thinking the other vehicle was trying to block him from passing. He told police that his drinking contributed to his impatience and reckless driving. Higgins failed a field sobriety test, according to the affiliate. Obviously, the investigation is ongoing. I feel bad for everybody that was affected, all the family. All of the Blue Jackets players, like everybody, man. He just signed like a 7-year deal a couple years ago with the Blue Jackets. Just gone way too soon. And the Diamondbacks should have scored. But we'll move on to NFL. Again, all right, we're going to move on to the NFL, and this is how bad there are some really bad people with obviously the Goodrow incident. But now the Ricky Parcell... man, this guy, he was drafted in the first round. He was drafted? He was 31st overall pick in this year's draft, Ricky Parcell, and he was shot. Again, sorry TikTok if you have to take this down. I understand that. Whatever, don't take this down, TikTok. But Ricky Parcell was shot in the chest, and it went through his chest, avoiding the vital organs, obviously, all over your chest. at an autograph signing in an attempted robbery over his Rolex. So basically, the 17-year-old juvenile. So I know this is controversial. I hope he gets charged as an adult. He's old enough to be. I think he's old enough to be charged as an adult, even though he's a juvenile. He basically had. Again, I don't want to say this for TikTok. He had a pew-pew on him and basically wanted to see his watch. The two got into an altercation, and basically he shot Ricky through the chest. He is in stable condition, but it does not sound good for him, and I don't think he's going to be playing football. You hate to see it. You hate. Again, I understand this happens every day, and we're just hearing about this because of these big headlines, because these guys play sports. But I hate seeing innocent people getting shot, getting killed, getting ran over by these criminals. These innocent people just affecting their entire life from these dumb people. But the shooter was 17. Parcel's mom says that he's lucky to be alive. Again, you get shot through the chest. It goes through your chest and you miss a whole bunch of vital organs. It's incredible that he's still alive. It's lucky that if he died, that would have been two professional athletes that died within 48 hours due to two very, very bad people. Let me see what I have on here. I have some sort of... I'll try to find it. It's under NFL. Here we go. So 49ers Ricky Parcel stable after attempted robbery shooting. This was written at 8:50 on August 31st, the day that he got shot. So by the time this comes out, there may be more information on it. So just keep that in mind. The 49ers rookie receiver Ricky Parcel was shot in the chest Saturday afternoon in downtown San Francisco during an attempted robbery. In the statement released Saturday evening, the 49ers said Parcel is in serious but stable condition, which is incredible. I wish this happened to Goodrow. Very unfortunate, but after sustaining a bullet wound to his chest, and again, it went through his chest, the suspect, a 17-year-old man from Tracy, California, has been arrested according to San Francisco police. The chief there, Parcel's mother, said Sunday in a social media post that the bullet exited out of her son's back and missed his vital organs, adding that he's extremely lucky. According to the San Francisco Fire Department, a 911 call was made, reported shots fired wherever it was at. Parcel was signing autographs at an event center earlier in the afternoon and had headed to Union Square after, according to ABC. According to the San Francisco Police Department, a physical altercation between Parcel and the suspect ensued during the attempted robbery, and both were injured. Parcel and the suspect were later transported to the San Francisco General Hospital. Scott said Saturday night that there was no indication that the suspect had targeted Parcel because he is a professional football player, and added that there was one gun involved with multiple shots fired during the attempted robbery. Scott said that the suspect was acting alone as far as we know. Again, this was the night that this happened, so there might be more stuff coming out as we speak, but said that the many surveillance cameras in the area would be checked as the investigation continues. District Attorney Brooke Jenkins said a charging decision on the suspect, whom she noted is a juvenile, will be made Tuesday or Wednesday, so make sure you stay up to date on that. Thankfully, our hard-working officers made a swift arrest in this case, and we will do everything within our power to ensure justice is served. All right, so that's all I'm really going to talk about. These two guys, again, be smart, people. I understand I'm young, but be smart. Just be smart with what you're doing. I hate the 49ers. I absolutely despise them. I hate that they're better than the Seahawks. But that being said, I have nothing personal against the players, and nothing like this should ever happen to any player or any innocent person in general. I just hate that this has happened. But we're going to continue with some NFL news. Mike Tomlin, he has announced who his starting QB is going to be, and it is Russell Wilson. He said that it was a very hard decision to make, but due to what he saw in practice, he is choosing Russell Wilson over Justin Fields. Obviously, Fields is going to get some playing time at some point. And he did also mention that this was due to practice and not so much how preseason went. So, yeah, congratulations, Russell Wilson. Pittsburgh country, let's ride. And Russell Wilson is still a traitor in my book. All right, let's move on to some Major League Baseball. Major League Baseball news. Clayton Kershaw is back on the IL. Shocker, this 45, 50, 60, 80-year-old man. I love him. Trust me, Clayton Kershaw is one of my favorite players to ever play in my lifetime, but he's getting old. I think this might be the end of it. I know I've said this before, and I know I've gotten some hate on this before. He's getting old. He's more injury prone. Now, don't get me wrong, he has come back. At the beginning, or at the end of last season, at the beginning of this season, he was struggling. He's coming back. Now, obviously, the last start before this injury happened, he didn't do that great. He pitched like one inning, giving up 3 runs, something like that. Yeah, he didn't do that great. But I will say, since he's been back after the first few games, he's been okay. But he is back on the IL due to a bone spur in his toe. This may be the end of his career. This season, I don't know. I think his contract's up after this season. I think this may be it. Again, I love Kershaw. I look up to Kershaw a lot. It's just you got to think about like the Dodgers, man. You're wasting a spot there. Nationals bring up Darren Baker, son of Dusty Baker. Let me see what I can find on that. I have a file open here somewhere. Yes, the Washington Nationals added some major league players on Sunday when they placed outfielder Darren Baker on the active roster. The 25-year-old is the son of former Major League player and manager Dusty Baker, who played 19 seasons with 4 different clubs and was manager for 26 seasons, including 10 with the Giants. He also managed the Nationals in 2016 and 2017 and led the Astros to their World Series, or whatever you want to call that. The Nationals also called up this other guy. Darren Baker has never played in the major leagues, but has drawn plenty of World Series attention in the past. Now, this is obviously talking about when he got picked up. He was in the World Series games when he was 3 years old. It says, as a 3-year-old bat boy for the Giants in 2002 World Series, Baker ran onto the field to retrieve a bat during Game 5 against the Angels. When a play was ongoing, the Giants, JT Snow, who had just crossed home plate following a Kenny Lofton triple, lifted the younger Baker by the back of his jacket to avoid a collision with David Bell, who was about to score. In 112 games at AAA this season, Baker batted .285 with 20 doubles, 49 ribbies, but did not hit a home run in 435 at-bats, a contact guy. He was in his 4th minor league season after 4 years in college at Cal. The Nationals selected him in the 10th round in 2021. So congratulations. If he gets playing time, he gets playing time. If not, we'll see how much playing time he gets. And if he's good, if he lives up to the expectations of his dad. And as we are talking, watch this home run. I don't know if you guys can see that on TikTok, but I just called that home run. And the Dodgers are now losing 8-0. I just called that. I hate getting notifications before it actually happens, but that's what is happening in the Nationals. Let's talk about some MLB standings. How much time we got? Yeah, we're running it close. MLB standings. Dodgers best team in the league by quite a few games. They are 82-54 at the time of this recording. Phillies up there at 80 wins. Brewers at 80 wins. Nobody else, I believe, is at 80 wins. White Sox doing absolutely horrible. They are 31-106 at the time of this recording. 106 losses is the most in their franchise, and we are just starting September. So who's going to tell them that they need to turn something around? Like, I don't know what the White Sox do. Like, are they losing on purpose? Are they just letting other teams win? Are other teams paying them to just let them win because they're free games and they don't have a chance at a playoff spot? What do you do when you're playing the White Sox? Like, I don't know. I don't really want to talk about it too much just because I feel like I've talked about the White Sox quite a bit this season, and there's just nothing excited to talk about. They're 1-9 in their last 10 games. I think they've lost 9 straight. And they haven't won 20 games at home yet this season, and they haven't won 14. They've only won 13 games away. It's a guaranteed win. I mean, it's like a bye. It's like a day off. You know what I'm saying? Like, who are you facing? But that's them will be standing. Shohei Ohtani, I am going to save that for next week because I could talk about that next week. But let's go on to ranking the top 5 NFL teams with the most penalties since 2010. All right, so we are going to be doing exactly what I said, ranking the top 5 teams. This is not including preseason, or I don't think this includes postseason. This is just overall in the regular season, who has the most penalties since 2010. And this is not, obviously the season hasn't started, but this is not in the 2024 season. So this is from 2010 to 2013. At number 5, you got the Buffalo Bills. Bills Mafia with 1,505 penalties since 2010 season. At number 4, you have the Dallas Cowboys. This is our year. They have 1,516 penalties since 2010, only 11 more than the Bills. At number 3, you have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers at 1,549 penalties since 2010. At number 2, my dogs, or should I say my Hawks, the Seahawks at 1,607. I feel like a lot of these are just DK Metcalf's. I think he contributes quite a bit to this, but that is how many penalties they have since 2010. And then at number 1, the team with the most penalties since 2010, you guys will never guess it. It is the Raiders. They have 1,699 penalties since 2010. They don't seem to know the rules very well. Oh, all right. So that is their top 5 NFL teams with the most penalties since 2010. Let's move on to some NBA. Steph Curry. I was talking about this last week. Is he going to change teams? Is he going to move? Is he going to get traded? What's going to happen? No, he is not going to move. He is happy where he is at. You want to know how I know? Because they signed a 1-year extension of $62.5 million. Holy cow, that's a lot of money. That's almost Shohei money. That's how you know how good Shohei is. It's because Steph Curry is breaking records with $62.5 million extension. It is the highest single season. It is the highest single season contract in NBA history. It's a 1-year $62.6 million extension. So yeah, he gets the record-breaking contract. All right, let's move on to my favorite segment, Hall of Fame. Yay or nay? All right, for Hall of Fame, yay or nay, we are doing my boy Freddie Freeman. Does he belong in the Hall of Fame? That is what we are here to find out. He won MVP. He is an 8-time All-Star. He won the 2021 World Series with the Braves. He's won Gold Glove, 3-time Silver Slugger. He's obviously played for the Braves and the Dodgers. A career wins above replacement, 60.2. Almost double of what the White Sox have this season with the 26-man roster. He's had almost 7,500 at-bats, over 2,200 hits, 340 home runs with oh my God. Holy cow, a career batting average of 300? This dude's insane. Almost 1,300 runs, over 1,200 RBIs, almost 100 stolen bases, an on-base percentage of 388. Slugging of 513 and an OPS of 900, OPS plus of 142. That is in his entire career. Yes, like I said, he won MVP in 2020. My favorite season of my life, 2020. Let's see what records he broke in his league. In 2014 and 2018, he played 162 games, which is obviously the most you could play. The most plate appearances in 2021 and 2022 was 695 and 708. He had the most runs in 2020 with 51, in 2021 with 120 and and in 2022 with 117. Wow, he had the most hits in 2018 with 191. He had the most hits in 2022 with 199. He had the most doubles. I thought that's a triple. So there's no way. Yeah. He had the most doubles in 2018, 2020, 2022, and 2023 with 44, 23, 47, and 59. He had the highest on base percentage with the 407 in 2022. And then he had the most intentional walks with 12 in 2023. Yeah. He's played 15 years. I think he's in the Hall of Fame. Now, I don't think he's first ballot yet, but yeah, I think it's a big yay. Big yay. Fredward Freeman does belong in the Hall of Fame. All right. Thank you guys for watching the 62nd episode of the HatTrick Sports Podcast. You can listen to us wherever you listen to podcasts, including YouTube for all the visuals. Make sure to check out shophattricksports.com for all of your merchandise. You can follow us anywhere you see us on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, Twitter, and in the shop app. Our merch is now in the shop app. So make sure to go check that out. Use code TikTok30 for 30% off. And we will see you guys next week for episode 63.